As Brother Overworked and Underlaid said, the theme of today's talk is You're Not Doing Enough. Do you feel sick, tired? Have you had a rough day? Are your bills behind because you have a low-paying job that you have to work at 60 to 70 hours a week, while at the same time the richer friends in the hall aren't helping to support you? Then you have to do another 30 to 40 hours of study, prayer, meditation, meetings, and field service? Do you feel the need to relax and de-stress from life's daily mundane activities? Perhaps you're a pioneer, an elder, circuit overseer, full-time Bethelite, or missionary. Do you have a family member that's an invalid and requires round-the-clock care? Perhaps you have an illness that slows you down, or are out of shape because, quite frankly, you're too poor to buy healthy food and see a doctor. Or maybe you just had some time free up because you lost your job, or a member of your family just passed away. Now think of the extra time that frees up. But in these situations, it's important to ask ourselves, are we doing enough? Well, the short answer is no. This is not the time to think of vacation, take a break. We don't need to take care of ourselves or others around us. Our main concern is recruiting people to the organization and to serve the governing body. Surely, we should be relentless in our doing more, because we know that we will be rewarded with the never-ending moving of the goalpost until we die and get no reward. The fact that you even had a thought of taking a break shows that you have a lack of faith and aren't fully appreciating what the governing body has commanded you to do. Now, let's take a look at our best example, and that's of our Lord Jesus' attitude, to how he felt when he was tired. Let's look at John chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14. Again, friends, that's John chapter 6, and we're going to start off in verse 1. It says, "After this, Jesus set out across the Sea of Galilee, or Tiberias, and a large crowd kept following him, because they were observing the miraculous signs he was performing in healing the sick. So Jesus went up on a mountain and sat down there with his disciples." All right, let's pause for just a moment right there, because we can see that Jesus was tired and wanted to be left alone. He was trying to hide from everyone, like a whiny little kid. So what happened? Well, let's read on. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, "Where will we buy bread for these people to eat?" And see, right here, we can clearly see that Jesus was bothered by these people just showing up, encroaching on his personal time to rest, on top of the fact they were broke. Continuing on. However, he was saying this to test him, for he knew what he was about to do. Sure, he knew that, but it doesn't mean he liked it any better. Let's keep reading. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not enough for each of them to get even a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "Here is a little boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are these among so many?" Clearly, his annoyance is growing when all he wanted to do was relax, and we could see that in this. Let's keep reading. Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." And there was a lot of grass in that place. The men sat down there, about 5,000 in number. Jesus took the bread, and after giving thanks, he distributed it to those who were sitting there. He did likewise with the small fish, and they had as much as they wanted. See, here's the thing. What the people didn't realize is how draining it is to have to perform miracles, especially for people who were just dumb. You mean the people out of 5,000 men didn't have any denarii? If they did, they were surely cheap, which is another reminder, brothers. Don't be cheap. Put all your hard-earned money in the contribution box, and kids, don't be forgetting that ice cream money now. After all, we need the money to pay for the court cases that you kids surely will bring against us when you get abused and we do nothing. Anyway, let's continue on, verse 12. But when they had eaten their fill, he said to the disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing is wasted." After all that hard work, he was hungry too. Can't you see that? He was exhausted, and he just wanted something to eat. Verse 13. So they gathered them together and filled 12 baskets with fragments left over by those who had eaten from the 5 barley loaves. When the people saw the sign he performed, they began to say, "This really is the prophet who was come into the world." So clearly, we can see that even Jesus himself couldn't do enough. So what makes you think you can? So ask yourself, is being a special pioneer, elder who works at Bethel and still has to do a full-time job on the side while raising a family and having to do every part on the meetings enough? Absolutely not. You know you can do more. 120 hours of service just isn't enough. So let us be determined to follow our Lord's example, never resting. This is the most life-draining work you will ever do. Oh, and don't you dare say anything about the governing body not going out, because after all, they have a higher place than Jesus himself, so they're allowed to sit back and enjoy a Macallan's 12 that Tony got for them, and have big meals and long naps, while everyone has to slave away and be happy with 2 hours of sleep every day. After all, you can't wake up from your indoctrination if you never fall asleep.